Welcome to VR Revelations, friends. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you give this video a like and make sure you subscribe so that you can get future notifications for whenever I release more videos. Also, if you could check down the links below, if you want to support the channel, you can do so there. Also, you can go over to Rumble and subscribe to my channel on that platform. But anyways, it is February the 14th, the year of our Lord, 2023. And so, again, as I reported yesterday and as I've been reporting now for the last couple of days, the situation is dire for Ukraine in the city of Bakhmut. Now, we know Bakhmut is close to collapse. I'm predicting it will collapse this week. It won't go beyond Sunday, guys. And yeah, the city is pretty much surrounded, as we can see here. Of course, this is a major stronghold for Ukraine. They've made the city out to be an impenetrable fortress, I believe Zelensky called it. Now, it's pretty evident to most analysts, even analysts from the Western side of the world, that Bakhmut is a lost cause for Ukraine. As a matter of fact, the U.S. has been telling Zelensky to pull his forces out of Bakhmut because it's obvious that Russia is going to take the city, just like they took Soledar up over here around the north. And so pretty much the U.S. was recommending Zelensky to pull his forces out and save them for a future battle or a supposed future offensive. But Zelensky is very stubborn. He's very proud, and you know, he's been making terrible decisions pretty much since he became president of Ukraine. And he actually contradicted his boss on this one, right? The Americans and NATO. And so he doubled down, and pretty much, in my opinion, he realized that he was in too deep, that he had already made a big deal out of Bakhmut. And so now, you know, he's pretty much ashamed of pulling his forces out of there to the detriment of the soldiers that are fighting courageously there. Again, you might not agree with their ideology, or their cause or whatnot, but you know, you always have brave soldiers and brave men on both sides, and it really is, you know, it's shameful to see these types of situations where you know that you're fighting in a place that's pretty much suicide, but you can't pull out of there because you'll be called a traitor, all because the higher up, the generals, the politicians who are safely in their palaces, choose to do so. And so, of course, the ones that pay the price are the troops on the ground. But Bakhmut, it has been a main objective for the Russian forces, just like Bakhmut was a couple of weeks ago, and it is about to collapse. And again, we have a report here that Ukraine is showing signs that they might be getting ready to pull out their forces. After all, as we see here from this Western news source, The Guardian, Ukrainians blow up bridge in Bakhmut amid reports Russia is closing in. Now, yesterday I reported that Ukraine gave the order to stop all aid in Bakhmut. So they stopped all, pretty much all the medics from going to and fro in and out of Bakhmut, because apparently the situation is that bad right now there. There is no safe place. Now, a couple of weeks ago and even a couple of months ago, prior to the new year, there were safe areas towards the western side of Bakhmut, right, where the medics and the aides could operate. But now, Bakhmut, as we can see on the map, is pretty much encircled, and the Russians are closing in. And so the Russians have blocked out pretty much all of the main entrances to the city, all the major highways, as you can see here, to the south, to the west, to the north. Of course, to the east, that's the direction the Russian forces are pushing from. And so now the forces in Bakhmut pretty much only have off-roads right now. And, you know, you don't want military vehicles and soldiers with aids trying to escape through the fields and such. So they pretty much gave an order to stop all aid, which essentially means that they are admitting that the Russians are going to take the city, that the fall of the city is imminent. It is in a dangerous situation, too dangerous for the aides and the medics, because the Russians are all over it. So now, really, what they're waiting for is for Zelensky to give the order for the troops to pull out of Bakhmut. And now we see that they, as we're reading here, we're about to read, that they blew up a bridge, which is another sign that they're getting ready to retreat, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at the report here. You can see the date on this. It is from today, Tuesday, the 14th of February. So let's go ahead and read. So it says, Ukrainians blow up bridge in Bakhmut amid reports Russia is closing in. Now, of course, they always deny, right, until it actually happens. But it's pretty obvious to everybody that they're pulling out. And if they don't, they're going to get destroyed and captured. Kyiv denies retreat is imminent as Kremlin throws troops at capturing city before 1-year anniversary of war. Now, if you're a Ukrainian soldier, you're pretty much raging at Zelensky right now because of his stubbornness. And he actually said they're going to fight to the last soldier in Bakhmut. So, yeah, Zelensky is a knucklehead, and he's pretty much throwing his soldiers into the meat grinder for absolutely no reason besides his hatred for the Russians and his utter incompetence also. So let's keep reading here. Ukrainian forces have reportedly blown up a bridge near the eastern city of Bakhmut in a sign they may be planning to retreat from the area, which would give Russia a significant symbolic boost ahead of the first anniversary of the war. Absolutely, this would be very symbolic, a symbolic victory for Russia and a symbolic defeat for Ukraine. So it's only going to bring up the morale of the Russians and demoralize the Ukrainians. But it's not only just symbolic, guys. This is a strategic city. That's the whole reason why they've been making such a big deal out of it. And Zelensky himself has said, of course, that it's a symbol of Ukrainian resistance. It's a fortress. It's impenetrable. Well, it's been penetrated and it's about to collapse. So he doesn't know what he's talking about. But this is only just going to give way, of course, for the Russians to make a major push again towards Kramatorsk and Slavyansk. But let's go back to the article here. So it says troops blew up the bridge on Monday, according to a local Donetsk region news site. So a local news source there from the Ukrainian side reported on this. Ukraine denies it intends to leave Bakhmut despite 6 months of heavy fighting and reportedly dwindling stockpiles. Again, notice they always deny that the Russians are achieving victories. They keep on denying, and then when the Russians actually achieve the victory and it's pretty much undeniable, they stay silent, right? That's exactly what they did with Soledar, which is to the north of Bakhmut, which was also a stronghold of Ukrainian resistance. They denied for weeks on end that the Russians did not in fact have control. Well, now as you can see via this pro-Ukrainian live UA map, the Russians, have taken control of the whole area of Soledar, and they are actually further west now. And so, did they say anything about that? Nope, they just stayed silent. So that's what they do. They deny, and then when their lies are proven wrong, they stay silent, and then they'll just move on to the next story. So the article goes on. It appears the Kremlin is concentrating maximum force on capturing Bakhmut before the 1-year anniversary of the invasion on the 24th of February. Again, they're making a big deal out of this anniversary. The Western media propaganda machine, Russia's not really celebrating a one-year anniversary of this war, but the West is sort of making this weird connection that, you know, Putin wants to achieve this victory by then, which really doesn't matter if he achieves it on the day or a day after or a day before. The fact is that they're achieving victories. So anyways, it goes on. Ukraine and its Western allies have said over the past week that Russia had already begun a new offensive across the contact line in an attempt to gain ground before new Western supplies arrive in the spring. Of course, there were multiple reports and a lot of coverage of the meeting that the U.S. and Ukraine and Germany had in the Ramstein base there in Germany, where they all decided to provide Ukraine with tanks after Zelensky literally begged on for weeks, saying that they needed tanks and more supplies. But apparently these tanks, at least the German Leopard 2 tanks, aren't going to be there until March. So it looks like Russia wants to take advantage of this small window there. Not that those tanks are going to turn the tide of war, right, or give Ukraine even the ability to launch a counteroffensive, but it is going to increase the resistance, of course. So, you want to take advantage of the situation as much as possible and attack the enemy, before they can increase their resistance. And so, yeah, the Russians have launched an offensive here. Now, this isn't an offensive on a scale like we saw at the beginning of the conflict last year, where, of course, Russia attacked Ukraine via Belarus, which is an ally of Russia, right? Lukashenko, he's really good buddies with Vladimir Putin, of course. And so I am expecting at some point another offensive via Belarus. We know that Russia does have a lot of forces in Belarus. So what I think could be possible here is that they initiated this rumored offensive that everybody was expecting down here in the east. And I think once they take Bakhmut here in the next couple of days, and also down here to the south, once they take Vuhledar, we're going to see them continue to push forward, right, on the east here towards Kramatorsk and Levyansk. And then I could possibly see another attack here through Belarus. And this will definitely create a lot of chaos and disorganization within Ukraine. And at the same time, guys, think about it. Once they take Bakhmut, right, and Vuhledar here within the next couple of days, as I'm predicting, it's going to be a major blow to Ukraine. It's going to demoralize the Ukrainians, the Ukrainian army, and also its allies in the West, right? They're going to see that all their billions and billions of dollars that, supposedly have all been going into the war effort have really not produced any good results. And so while they're debating about all that and that situation, that will be the perfect time for Russia to come in once again for another death blow via Belarus. So that is sort of what I'm analyzing from this whole situation here. Yeah, let's read a little bit more here. It says, it appears the Kremlin is concentrating maximum force on capturing Bakhmut before the one-year anniversary of the invasion. Okay, I just read that. Let's move forward here. It says, it is clear that we are in a race of logistics, Jens Stoltenberg, head of NATO, told reporters in Brussels on Monday. Late on Tuesday, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky described the situation on the front line as extremely difficult, especially in Donetsk and Luhansk. It is literally a battle for every meter of Ukrainian land, Zelensky said in his evening address to the nation. A Russian victory in Bakhmut would give the Kremlin a boost after months of setbacks. I wouldn't call them setbacks. They were just moving slowly. And, focusing their attention on other areas such as Soledar, but now their main focus seems to be Bakhmut here. So yeah, those aren't setbacks, and would be a stepping stone to fight for the two next big Ukrainian-controlled cities. So there you have it, guys. No more aid in Bakhmut, as I reported yesterday, and they are now blowing up bridges there, according to The Guardian. And again, guys, I'm giving you all these Western sources so that nobody can jump on here and you know, criticize me because I'm using Russian sources. This is all Western sources. Most of the sources I use here are via Western news sources. So this is all coming from the West, right? You'll get a lot of articles trying to put a positive spin on the situation, but once it becomes undeniable, then you'll start seeing them actually report on the truth of the situation. Now, they'll come to every time they lose a city, right? Every time that the Russians advance, the only thing you'll see them say is that, oh, but Ukraine inflicted a lot of casualties on Russia. But they do end up reporting on what is actually happening, as you can see here via The Guardian. So, again, it's not me. I'm not giving you a Russian source. This is all Western news sources. But anyways, there you have it, guys. They're blowing up bridges. No more aid in Bakhmut. The soldiers there are now just praying that Zelensky has some mercy on his own troops and gives the order to pull out, because they are about to be entrapped and overtaken. Just remember, friends, the truth is stranger than fiction. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you for tuning in. Have a wonderful day, and God bless.